All right, this video is going to be changing the automatic transmission fluid on an Acura TLX. This vehicle is a 2016. My understanding is that 2014 through 2020 would have the same transmission. This is a 2.4 liter four-cylinder with base model transmission. It's not all-wheel drive. So you want to change your transmission fluid about every 30,000 miles. Probably run it to 60,000 miles first, then after that every 30. Or if you just want to just always do every 30, that's good too. I just bought this car and it's got 65,000 miles on it. I don't know if the fluid had ever been changed before, and so that's why I'm doing it. And I'll do it every 30 after this. The fluid that's necessary for this engine is the ATF Type 2. The spec on it says that it takes 4.3 quarts, and so that's basically 4 quarts plus another 10 ounces, right? And obviously a quart is 32 ounces, so you can see on here I went ahead and made myself a mark right at about 22 ounces there, that black mark. And so that was my 0.3 after I put in 4 quarts in there. And when I did that, the fluid came out the level check hole just like it should have. So, and I also, when I drained the fluid, I collected it in a clean pan, and then I measured it in another jug, and I could see that it was approximately 4.3 quarts. To be fair, I measured it in one of those big 5-quart oil jugs, you know, and so it showed the 4-quart mark and just a little bit more past it. So anyway, I was able to verify by what I took out, putting back in 4.3 was, it made sense. It was the same amount as I took out, plus it came out at the fluid check hole when I checked my transmission level. So how do you do this job? Well, under the engine here, you see where the battery is to kind of give yourself a reference. We've got a computer right here with the lights on, and then this other big block of plastic here. Well, the fill hole is right there. You see that big bolt down there with like a red stripe on the top? That's a 17 millimeter fill plug, and you need a couple of extensions to get down there and get that guy out. It's pretty tight in here, so I used a 3/8 ratchets with a few extensions, probably about 13-14 inches worth of extensions and a socket. Like I said, 17 millimeter, and I got down there, and the first thing I did is I broke that loose to be sure that I could take it off to fill it before I drained my fluid, right? I didn't want to drain my fluid first and then find out I couldn't get fluid back in it. So I cracked that loose. I didn't take it out, I just cracked it loose to be sure I could get it off. Then I went under the car, pulled the drain bolt, and drained out the fluid. I'll show you where that's at in a moment. Now, when it came time to fill the fluid back in, I needed a funnel for that. Here's what I used, just this extra large funnel, and I got it at Advanced Auto Parts for like $6 or something like that. And you see how it's oval shape? It was round, and I used a heat gun so I didn't crack it. And I heated it up pretty good. And then wearing a leather glove, I smashed this thing down skinny like that. You need to do that because it's tight clearance, and otherwise the funnel won't fit down in there. And even doing that, there's a little trick. And if you could move this computer wiggle it, get a little more flex out of it. That'll make a job a lot easier for you. And to do that, I didn't take anything out, but you see right down here, let's see if I can get it on the camera. It's tough to see. There's a little 10 millimeter bolt. If you look at this bracket right here, follow it all the way down, okay? And there's a little, between the battery box down there at the bottom, you can just see where my light's on. There's a little 10 millimeter nut down there, and that's holding that bracket. If you just loosen that up, you don't have to take it out, just loosen it up. And then right here, you see there's that 10 millimeter nut right there. That 10 millimeter nut I also loosened, and that's right there. You can see it right where the light's on, that 10 millimeter. I loosened those two up, and that allowed this computer to flex quite a bit. And then with my squished funnel, I got a funnel down in there after I took that bolt out. Be careful you don't drop anything down in that hole. It's easy for a socket to fall off or different stuff like that. In fact, my socket did fall off. Thank goodness it fell to the side and it didn't go down the hole into the transmission. So that's a real thing. Be careful about that. But yeah, so that's how you get at the fill hole, and that's a little trick to loosen that stuff up and what kind of funnel you need for that. Let me get the car in the air and I'll show you where you actually drain and check at. All right, so now we're underneath the car. Let me show you that. So here you are for just orientation of where to find this thing. Go under the car, you're looking kind of toward the driver's side. There might normally be a piece of plastic cover, like kind of on here. You see where those little bolts are. There'll be a black plastic cover there. You'll need to take that off. Mine's already missing, so. But that bolt there, that's the underside of the transmission. This bolt with that 3/8 drive, you just put your ratchet right on there and break that loose. There's a magnet on the end of that. So when you take that out, that's the drain bolt. You're going to drain out the 4 quarts of fluid. So a little pan that's big enough to hold 4 quarts is all you need. And yeah, catch that stuff. Let it drain out good. And then clean off that magnet real good with a nice clean paper towel. And then put that back on and torque it to 26 foot-pounds. And then right there, whoops, I can see it, but you need to see it. Right here where the light is, that's the bolt for checking the fluid. In fact, you can see the little sticker on there. It even tells you what kind of fluid you need to use. It's that Honda ATF2 Type 2 fluid. But anyway, you take that bolt out, and as you fill up, when you get to the right level, fluid will trickle out that hole, and that's how you know you're there. Now, to do it really, kind of the best way, that you would want the transmission to be a little warm. Obviously, the fluid you put in there isn't going to be warm. But you go ahead and put in your 4.3 and then start the car. Put the bolts are all in. They don't have to be tight, but in. The drain bolt should be fully tight. But you start the car, you warm it up. You can plug in a scan tool to the OBD2 port, check transmission fluid temperature. See that you're about 104, like 104 to 118 is about where you want to be. And that's pretty typical of a lot of transmissions. Well, at least with dual clutch transmissions. Anyway, make sure you're a little warm like that. And then when you take that check level bolt off, you'll see fluid trickle out. Oopsies. Yeah, so, yeah, when you take that guy out, you'll see fluid trickle out. That guy with a green, little bit of green paint on its head, that's what I'm talking about. And you can see that from the top of the motor too, by the way. When you're up in there, you'll be able to see it. And you could probably even reach down with your hand and pull it out at that point. You don't have to be under the car like me for checking fluid level. But that's all there is to it. I think I covered all the bases. Try to keep the video short. If you like the video, check the video description, and I'll try to put torque specs and some other details, or maybe answer questions that come up. If you have questions yourself, feel free to put them in the comments. I'll answer best I can. But make sure you read the comments in the description so we don't ask the same question a bunch of times. And if you like the video, give me a thumbs up. It's nice to know that it's helped somebody or it's useful. I don't care whether you subscribe or not. I'm not one of those guys trying to build a channel. Just regular dude trying to help somebody out. I hope this video was helpful for you.